Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So last year I read the most amount of books I've ever read in 1 year, and today we're going over the stats, the data. We've got pretty charts and graphs. So I use a platform called the Storygraph to track my reading, and I was just looking up when I started using them, and it was in 2020. So I've been using the Storygraph for 5 years now. We're on to year 6, and I would recommend, if you have not switched from Goodreads to the Storygraph yet, what are you doing? You can import all of your Goodreads data, and you are using a much better, slicker platform that gives you lots of fancy graphs and data, but also that isn't owned by Amazon. It's a small business, Black woman owned, excellent volunteer librarians, and excellent charts. So there's my little Storygraph plug. This is not sponsored by them at all. I just use them and love it. Also, hi, hello, if you're new here, I'm Hannah. I'm a mum in London and I like to read, amongst other things, but that's what this video is about. I've got my laptop right here with all of the juicy details, but before we get into that, I want to thank this video's sponsor, Squarespace. So whether you are just starting out in the freelance world or you're a small business owner, Squarespace makes it super easy to create your own beautiful website, engage your audience, and sell anything from physical and digital products to courses and even your time, all in one place and all on your terms. I've been hosting my professional hannahwitton.com website on Squarespace for years now, amongst other websites that I've had for various different projects over the years, and I really love it and honestly would recommend. It just makes that whole part of being a freelancer and small business owner so much easier, and just something that I don't have to stress and worry about. Squarespace has loads of beautiful professional website templates. They are really flexible, and so you can just pick the template that you want and then customize it with all of your own content and assets, your branding, your colors, your fonts, your images, all of that lovely stuff. You can pretty much make any template do whatever you want, and they work seamlessly across all devices. And their website design system, Fluid Engine, is really intuitive and powerful. It just allows you to drag and drop stuff so you can get really creative and design your website with ease, even if you have no website design experience. If you have an online store, then Squarespace Payments is the easiest way to manage payments. Onboarding is really fast and simple, and it gives your customers multiple different ways to pay. And if you have more of a service-based business, then Squarespace Invoicing makes managing all of that loads easier. You can manage your clients and keep track of invoices all in one place, really simplifying your workflow. So if you are in need of a new website this new year in January in 2026, then you can go to squarespace.com to start your free trial. And then when you're ready to launch your website into the world, go to squarespace.com/morehannah to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, let's get to some bookish stats. Stats. Data. Graphs. So welcome to the Storygraph. If you are not familiar, this is what it looks like. We want to go straight to stats. We can start to see a bit of my 2026 reading, but what we really want to view is my 2025 reading wrap up. Let's go. I'm so excited. Okay, congratulations on a fantastic reading year. Thanks, Storygraph. You finished 61 books across 9,231 pages and 423.1 hours. This is the most books that I've ever read. And I said that last year. And last year I read 51 books. So that is like quite an increase for me. So the first book that I read was Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. And then the last book that I finished was Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. I was also halfway through Hamnet at the end of 2025, but I didn't quite finish it, and I finished it in the first few days of 2026. But the last book I finished was Pachinko, which I adored and literally just nicked off my friend's bookshelf when I was around visiting, and I was like, ooh, you have Pachinko, I want to read that. So one of the things that the Storygraph does is it gives you this mood graph. And it's so interesting. So it like does a mood graph like throughout your year in terms of the lightness or the darkness of the moods and the themes of the books you've been reading. And this is one of my favorite parts of the wrap-ups that they do. Okay, here's the mood graph. Ooh, okay, we started out light. We're still quite, okay, we're going down. Ooh. Wow. Okay, I feel like that really tells a story. Oh my God, I'm now really curious. I mean, I guess I did end on Pachinko. Is Pachinko meant to be quite dark? I want to know what these like dark books I was reading at the end. I do think at the beginning of the year I was reading some more like romance and like rom-com-y books, but that's fascinating. I had my lightest month, looks like it was in April. Why do I find this so funny? Let's see what else it's saying. Okay. You felt every heartbeat on the page, wandered through tales tinged with shadow, and chased horizons and daring escapades. A steady rhythm of stories kept the year moving along nicely. Okay, all right, here is boom, 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 the big graph. So this is books, pages, and minutes per month. Blue line is books, red line is pages, green line is minutes listened. So in February, we have a huge spike of 10 books read, and I know exactly why that was, and that was because I was judging the British Book Awards, and there were 6 books in my category, and like the vast majority of them, like 4 of them were recipe books. I managed to read them all quite quickly, and so that's why 10 books in February. And then we have this other spike of 7 books in December, which is intriguing to me because I wasn't like trying to hit a reading goal at that point because I'd already hit it. Why was I reading so many books in December? What did I read in December other than Pachinko and half of Hamnet? Wow, really good. Real good, Hannah. But generally, I think we're kind of like around the 4, 5, 6 books a month. We've got this steady stream of 4 books a month in the summer and autumn. In terms of minutes listened, I basically peaked early in January, and I think that's because at the beginning of last year, I was finishing the new Brandon Sanderson, Wind and Truth. And then we had another spike in April. That's not when I was doing British Audio Awards judging. That was more around September, I think. But it's higher in September too. But my audiobook listening game was definitely lower than usual because I didn't have like an epic fantasy series on the go, which is usually where all of those minutes go to. Because I met my reading goal. My reading goal was 50 books, so 122%. I met my pages goal. Why is it not giving me my numbers? Where are my numbers? I can't remember what I set that at. I just based it on like roughly what I read last year. Oh, it's not telling me here, but I know that I did not meet my audio goal, which was 500 hours. And obviously I think it said I was around 423 hours. No big epic fantasy series did I devour or get into this year. Okay, genres. Genres you spent the most time with in 2025. Fantasy, 16 books. Literary, 15. Contemporary, 10. LGBTQIA plus 9, and historical 6. I feel like historical's not usually up there, but I think that does check out. I'm curious what these historical books are that I read. So the longest book that I read was Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson, 62 hours and 48 minutes. That's a lot. And then the shortest book that I read was 65 pages, which was To Hate and Love Men by Gina Martin. Okay, I'm remembering now. I think in December was when I decided to finally read some of my Pound Project books. And there's like 3 of them. So this one and then How to Build a Life, which is like 2 books by Laura Jane Williams. So they're all very short. So that would have accounted for like 3 books in December, I think. Okay, the average length of the books you read was 364 pages. That feels pretty average. And it took you around 12 days to finish each book. The Sense of Wonder, I read in a day. I was on holiday. My dad had that book and he recommended it and I read it. And then the most time spent with disability, intimacy, essays on love, care and desire, edited by Alice Wong, R.I.P. Alice Wong. And that one we did for my Patreon book club. So we kind of space it out. So I think we took 6 weeks to read that book. Is 46 days 6 weeks? Yeah, roughly. I think 7 times 6 is 42. Yeah, there we go. Okay, authors I spent the most time with. So Naomi Novik, I read the Scholomance trilogy, 3 books. Suzanne Collins, I did a Hunger Games reread. Excellent. And then Juno Dawson, I read the final installment of Her Majesty's Royal Coven, Human Rights, and then the prequel novella, Queen Bee, as well. So there's 2 from Juno. So that's kind of like fantasy, dystopian. A lot of witches, like Naomi Novik, witches, Juno Dawson, witches. Interesting. Okay, 2025's average rating was 4.05. Looks like you know how to pick them. Here's the thing about the ratings. I really struggled with rating books this year, and oftentimes when I was thinking about how to rate a book, I would like look into my categories of like, what have I rated 3 versus a 3.5 versus a 4, 4.55. Like in my rating, things very rarely get below a 3, like because usually in those scenarios, it would be a DNF. But I was always looking at other books and what I'd rated them and being like, did I like this book more or less than the books here? But I don't know if that was working for me in terms of rating things. And I know that you can do like 0.5, 0.25, 0.75 on the story graph. I use 0.5, but I haven't delved into the 0.25s or 0.75s because that just feels very nitpicky to me and I don't know how I would make those decisions. But the book club that I am a part of, we rate things out of 10, and I find that rating things out of 10 and rating things out of 5 changes for me mentally. And if anyone is like this, please let me know. So for instance, we just had our book club last night. We read Private Rights by Julia Armfield. I really liked the book. I rated it a 7 out of 10 at book club, which feels really high, like a 7 out of 10 feels really high. But giving it a 3.5 feels mean. Giving it a 3.5 out of 5, which would be the equivalent, feels low. But it isn't. Because a 3.5 out of 5 is a 7 out of 10. I struggle. Because like a 3 out of 5 is a 6 out of 10, which is like a, yeah, that book was fine. I think I need to assign each rating like an emotion. One of the people at my book club, she always says that if she wouldn't recommend the book, she can't give it over a 5, which I like that for her as a rule. I'm much more like, I feel like there's always somebody who will like a book. So like a 1 for me is like horrible, terrible, hated, but I don't know why I would even finish that book. 2 would be like bad. 3 would be fine. 4 would be good. And 5 would be great. Terrible, bad, fine, good, great. And then what are the in-betweeny ones? I don't know why I like struggled with ratings this year. Take all of the ratings here as like with a bit of a pinch of salt. But these are all my 5-star reads. My 2025 5-star reads. Was that it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, 16. Okay, yeah. I want that to be higher. I want more 5-star reads in my life, you know? I'm looking at this and being like, yeah, that checks out. I've seen that they're making a Netflix movie. I don't know if it's Netflix or another platform, but there's a movie coming out or is out of You and Me on Vacation, which has a different title in the US, I think, The People We Meet on Vacation or something. I watched the trailer for it. I did not like, but I loved the book. We'll see. I'll probably still watch it. Okay, so here's my 2025 ratings. Oh, so I did give a couple of books a 2.5. Fair enough. But see, there's a lot of 3s. I'm reading just a lot of fine books, like books that I'm like, yeah, that was fine. Or it's books where I feel mean rating it lower because there's just some books that just aren't for me. But if a book is fine, but it's just not for me, I feel mean rating it lower than a 3. Because anything lower than a 3, I think is like for not good books. Now I'm curious as to what I actually put as a 2.5. 3 books. And then there's some books that don't have ratings. It says there's only 2. There's definitely more books that don't have ratings because I didn't rate any of the books that I read for the book awards that I was judging this year, which was 2 different awards. And I wasn't told by the awards not to do that. It just felt right to me because I didn't want my personal enjoyment of the book to like be out there when the judging process is very different and the criteria is quite specific. And of course, there are other judges. So my opinions are balanced out with other people's opinions too. And so it felt weird to me to, include my ratings of those books because then it might, I don't know, give some things away about the judging process and the parts of the judging process that are confidential. So yeah, I didn't rate those books, but it's definitely more than 2. So that's confusing to me. But the highest rated category is 5 stars. So I'll take it. Some months were better than others. So January got highest average rating, 4.5. Turns out September wasn't your favorite month. Average of 3. Oh, that's not a good month. Most pages read in February, 1,302 pages. And that's probably because I was on holiday. I was in Lanzarote with my parents for a week in February, and so more time to read physical books. Okay, other Storygraph users and your 2025 reads. Okay, so Hunger Games is the most shelved by other users. Spudtacular Baked Potato Cookbook, which is one of the books on the shortlist for one of the awards is the least shelved. Highest rated is Patriot by Alexei Navalny. Average rating was a 4.57. Wow. You explored the works of 42 new authors, including Graham Greene, Toshikazu Kawaguchi, and Sarah Wynne Williams. 20 of the books you read were part of a series, and you revisited a total of 4 books this year. So The Hunger Games plus one more. What was it? What was the other one that I revisited? You gonna tell me? George. Oh, okay, kind of. It was like an Audible original like adaptation of 1984 that had Andrew Garfield and Cynthia Erivo. It was interesting. It was very condensed. It's like only 3.5 hours long. It was like more of an audio drama, I think. Ooh, here we go. You decided not to finish 3 of the books you picked up this year. Let's have a look and see what they were. One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. Okay, so this was a book that was picked from my book club that I'm a part of, not my Patreon one that I'm part of with my local bookshop. And I think I was ill or something, or away, and so I couldn't make that one. And I started reading it, but I just could not get into it. And I was like, fuck it. I can't make the meeting anyway. Even though it was only 182 pages, I was like, no. Then we have We Are Legion, We Are Bob, which I thought I would like. This is one that was recommended to me or I heard about. It's sci-fi, it's meant to be quite funny. And I got a fair bit in, but I just really hated it. I can't remember now. It was like a while ago, summer, July. Yeah, the premise is this character Bob dies, but his like brain memory, like personality and all of that gets like saved, stored, and then he is awoken as a computer like hundreds of years, like many years into the future. And then they use his mind on some sort of space mission. This is such a botched explanation. But then essentially he duplicates himself, and that's why it's called like We Are Bob, because there's like lots of different Bobs. It sounds quite funny and silly. I just couldn't get into it. I just didn't care. Bob wakes up from being killed in a car accident quite suddenly, and he wakes up to an entirely different world. The world seems really interesting, like the political, religious factions. Also, he wakes up knowing that like all his family are dead and long dead as well. And I wanted to dwell more on that, like more on the emotional implications of that, and also like the political, religious stuff going on in the world. But very quickly he's like off in space, kind of like leaving the whole thing behind. And I was just like, oh. I could be persuaded to pick it back up, but I was like, no. And then Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. This is another one for my bookshop book club where I couldn't make the meeting, but also I just didn't like it. Again, it's like dystopian, sci-fi. It's like one of the OGs. It's, you know, like written, what does it say, 1932. But I was bored. I didn't care. I might read a synopsis of what happens in it. Anyway, those are the 3 books that I DNF'd. You didn't own any of the books you read this year. That's because I don't track what I own or don't own on the story graph, but that's something that you can do if you want. These are my plus stats because I'm a Storygraph Plus member. So compared to 2024, number of books up by 20%, number of pages up by 43%, number of hours down by 7%. Wow, so number of pages was up by a lot. I honestly think the recipe books from the book awards may have helped me out here. Your mood map compared to your friends. Bearing in mind I don't have many friends on Storygraph, but they seemed to get slightly happier towards the end of the year, whereas I did not. Okay, my personal 2025 reading experience. So my biggest slice of the pie is emotional, reflective, sad, wow, dark. I mean, that would check out with the way the mood graph went. Mysterious. Wow, this is not like hopeful, challenging, tense, adventurous, and then some smaller slices. That's not what I would expect from me, but maybe it is. Maybe I'm becoming a moodier reader. Medium paced, mostly medium paced, 20% fast paced, 9% slow. Okay, components of your highest rated reads. This I find interesting. So, highest rated reads, moods, sad, tense, challenging, pace, fast. That is always the case for me, I feel. Because it's like, I don't read as many fast books, but but then I rate them the highest. Book type non-fiction. Oh, that's boring. Why am I sad about my highest rated books being the non-fiction ones? Maybe because I just get swept up in it a bit. Like that would be Patriot, Alexei Navalny, and Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams. I rated both of them a 5. Oh, and Doppelganger by Naomi Klein. I think I just read a lot of like hard-hitting non-fiction books this year that I was like, boom. Oh yeah, there you go, that checks out. Genres: business, memoir, self-help. I wanna delete the non-fiction books from this, and I wanna know what my highest rated fiction books are. Story style, character driven. Did you see that? Did you see that? This would either say like character driven or plot driven. I've always claimed to be a plot driven gal, but apparently I rate books higher if they're character driven. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, all right. Characters lovable, diverse, and well developed. Again, who doesn't? Interesting. Okay, 2025 at a glance. Have a look. Here's some covers. Woo, lovely. Woo. I mean, that does look nice. Okay, and I explore my 2025 stats, and now I can click into things. Okay, these percentages are different, FYI, because these are the averages of how the whole of Storygraph have said, like, is it medium, fast, or slow paced, rather than what I've said. Ooh, page numbers. So, mostly sub 300, small slither over 500, and then, 300 to 500. Audiobook length, mostly in between 8 and 16 hours. 72% fiction, 28% non-fiction. Okay, now I can... Oh, interesting. Okay, so we had that graph showed historical as my next most popular genre that I read, but it's actually equal with romance and dystopian. But let's see what the historical books are that I read. Queen Bee, Babel, Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Yeah, I guess it is kind of historical. Half of it. Bury Our Bones in Midnight Soil, also yes, half of it. Pachinko, Glorious Exploits. Oh, okay. My favourites out of these were Addie, Babel, and Pachinko. I want to know what romance books I read this year. The Night Circus, This Is How You Lose the Time War. I actually think I would rate this lower. I did not like this book, but I said fine. Interesting. Deep End, Great Big Beautiful Life, You and Me on Vacation, Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Format. Oh my God, 52% print, mostly print this year. And then 48% audio. Oh, Not Just Juno. We had some other authors that I read 2 books of. So Emily Henry, V. Schwab, and Martha Wells. I only read 2 Murderbot books this year. There's that graph again. Oh wait, we can find out what... I know what those were. No, it's fine. Oh wait, here we go. 7 no rating. That makes more sense. Okay, what 3 books did I rate? 2.5. Disability, Intimacy, Glorious Exploits, and Orbital. No comment. Okay, this is a fun bit. View ratings per book type. So I think we might be able to get a bit more info here. Mood sad, average rating 5. Apparently I love a sad book. I do not like slow books. Average rating 3.38. Okay, let's get these ones out of the way, and then we'll get into a bit more fiction. Ooh, young adult, that'll be because of the Hunger Games. Contemporary, dystopian, historical. Interesting. Contemporary, dystopian, and historical. I would never put me down for like a historical reader, but also having just finished Hamnet as well. And I read The Marriage Portrait this year too, which I really loved. Ooh, historical recommendations, let me know. There we go. We did it. Now I need to set myself my challenges for 2026. So I just want to have a look. So yes, 2025 reading goal, 50 books, 61 books. This was last year. I didn't set one in 2023 for reasons. Oh, is it like reading goals and then they do pages goals and then audio goals? Here we go. So my hours goal was 500. So I got to 85%. My pages goal was 6,500 and I did 9,000. Okay, so what should my goals be? I think I'm going to do another 50 book goal. Hours, I would like to do some more big fantasy books. So I think I'm going to set 500 hours again. And I think I'm going to set this at 7,500 because I just don't think I'll hit that pages goal again. We'll see. Right, challenges. Add a challenge. Right, challenges. Set a reading goal. I want to read 50 books. Set a pages goal. 7,500. And hours, what did I say? 500. There we go. Woohoo! I'm ahead by 1 book. 88 pages until I'm caught up. Yay, you're ahead by 6.02 hours. There we go. So there you have it, my annual Storygraph stats video. Hope you enjoyed nosying around all of my book stats, my reading data. Let me know in the comments what books you are excited about that are coming out in 2026, because I feel quite out of the loop about releases this year, and I want to know. I want to know. The only ones that I'm like aware of that I'm like plugged into is Yesteryear, that I can't remember who it's by, but I've heard lots of people like talking about it. And then the second Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi book is meant to be coming out this year too. But other than that, I feel pretty clueless. So I would love to hear what you're excited about this year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.